For those of you that follow me on LinkedIn or Twitter, you probably know that I post quite regularly about my CAD package that I use, Onshape. I use that for both my business Gear, but I also do a lot of contract design work using Onshape as well. Now, why did I choose Onshape? I started using Onshape about 3 years ago. It was when I was on a quest to find probably a cheaper alternative, if the truth's known, to the CAD packages that were out there at that time. I'd also been using Dropbox a lot, so I was familiar with cloud, and I knew the benefits of what Dropbox was giving me, and I really wanted a CAD package that was going to work nicely with Dropbox. Now, what happened was I found Onshape, completely different to using an installed CAD system on a desktop and linking it to Dropbox. It was actually a complete browser-based CAD system. Now, that was a little bit scary to start with, but it wasn't long before I saw the benefits of actually using a browser-based CAD system. And yeah, I was really sort of sold on the idea of using Onshape, and basically been using it for the last 3 years. Have to admit, when I first started, I was a little bit disappointed because a lot of the features weren't in the package. It took a while to actually get those on board, and I believe pretty much over the last, or definitely the last year, a lot of those features that are actually needed for professional work have come on board. And I believe that Onshape's really got to a point now where people can use it professionally, and the majority of the features and the things that they need to get their work done is in there. Now, what am I going to do today? I just want to share a little bit of a story like I have about why I use Onshape. I'm going to show you some of my parts that I do in Gear, and so share how I use Onshape for Gear. And really, I want to share my knowledge, and I want to get people on board and help them to learn Onshape, help them to understand what it's about, and see how they can potentially use it in their business. So let's switch over to a shared screen and see how I'm using it within my business. Okay, so this is the Onshape home screen. You can see here that I'm actually in Chrome. I always use Chrome for my Onshape sessions, and so I've loaded up Chrome, and I've actually switched on here this label to filter to only show the Gear documents. So Onshape uses a document system, which is a little bit different to traditional CAD, where you're using a file-based system. So because everything's on a database on the cloud, you use documents to organize your projects. So it's basically like a project sort of layout. So this one here is a project that I did for these oversized loader head frame and sign. So I'm just going to open that up. We'll see how quickly it opens up. It's actually fetching this from the web. Normally it's pretty quick. I don't have too much trouble, and my web, I'm normally running at about 8 megabits a second, so I don't have a really fast internet speed here. So here it's brought up an assembly. So this is actually in my Onshape document. We can see here that I've got different tabs along the bottom. I've also got a really neat feature, which is actually a tab search tool that just down the side. I normally always have that open. It takes up a little bit of real estate on your screen, but if you've got a nice big screen, it's certainly advantageous to have that tab explorer open. And so you can see that you can load up different kinds of tabs, which are not only, this one's an assembly, you got drawings. So this is a drawing tab. This is a drawing of a bracket that we're in the process of developing. A lot of the stuff I do is laser cut and folded, so it's very important that I can get good access to sheet metal components. What I'll do is from this drawing I'll actually open up the part studio that this part was created in. So that will open up. And so this will be done in a part studio, which is the main part studio where most of the parts have been created. The idea with Onshape is they use a multi-body design system. So a lot of the parts are actually done in what's called a part studio, and what you do is when you create a part studio, you sort of build them up so you've got interrelated parts, and you can parametrically link those parts together, which is a really neat way of doing it. So this one here, this is actually a sheet metal. It's been created using a sheet metal tool. And I'll just show you quickly here, a flyout. We'll close our tab search tool down. We'll fly out there. Oh, that's actually not the one we're after, but we've got too. So that's that part there. So very important for me to have sheet metal, and Onshape does a fantastic job with sheet metal. DXFs, important for me to get a DXF of my flat pattern. Very easy to just export those. And I can store those within the Onshape document. So if we actually go back to our tab explorer, you can see down the end here, I've actually got my sheet metal DXFs stored. And if I click on that, we'll switch to that. This is a viewer, Ares viewer. So I can load that up and I can actually view. A great thing is just come on board actually. There's always new stuff coming into Onshape. Just recently Ares has come on board, so you can actually basically use Ares, which is a little bit like AutoCAD. This is just a viewer, but you can actually sign up. I think it's only $250 US a year. You can sign up to DWG editor that actually runs within the Onshape environment, which is really cool. I like to store my DXS in my Onshape document. That way everything's versioned and managed through the history, because everything is tracked. If I just go up here, all the history is tracked, so I can actually see what changes have been made. Very powerful. It's a little bit like a PDM system. Actually, I think it's a lot better than a PDM system. So let's head back up to our document. What should I show you? I probably should show you at least one trick or a little tip while we're here. This is an assembly. I've designed it as I've set it up as a flexible assembly. So I actually have gas struts there. These are an off-the-shelf item that I actually store. I actually have them stored in another document, which is like a library document for my gas struts. But they've got mates on them that are actually set to limits, so they're actually being controlled by limits on the gas strut. But the little tip that I want to show you today, I want to show you this one here, which is Shift X. So if I do a Shift X, that gives me a section view. Section view is pretty important when you're designing stuff. You want to be able to see what's inside the component. So what I wanted to do though is not only can you do Shift X and get a section, you can actually grab the ball. Now not everybody knows this, but you can grab the ball on your arrow and you can pull that across and that will actually snap. So I can snap it to the center of that cylinder of the gas strut, and now I've got the inside of the gas strut perfectly sectioned across the center, and then I can grab that and you can actually see that gas strut working. Hopefully it's been helpful and giving you a bit of insight of how I'm using Onshape, and maybe inspire you to give it a go. Now, certainly, please comment down below. Please tell me what you thought of the video. Ask me any questions. Direct message me if you want to direct message me, either on LinkedIn or on Twitter. I'm based in Australia. I've been involved with some of the meetups and the user groups for Onshape, and please reach out for me for that as well. And we might be even able to get more user groups going around Australia, which would be great. If you're not from Australia, still please comment and direct message me anyhow. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.